Hello, everyone. This is Ed Weir and my awesome studio here. Spare no expense. Sound like Jurassic Park or something. We spare no expense. All right. Let's get started with some questions. Somebody said, frequent commenter on my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. Do you have to buy a Medicare supplement through an insurance company or can you buy it through SSA? You definitely can't buy it through Social Security Administration. Social Security employees are not trained on anything Medicare other than Medicare Part A and Part B. If you ask a Social Security employee about what's Part C, they probably won't even know. They might know Medicare Advantage, but that's about it. Part D, obviously, prescription drug plan. But Medicare supplements, no. Social Security employees are zero training on any of that because those are all private companies. Medicare Part C, which a lot of people hate it being called Part C because they are in the Medicare Advantage because they are private insurance companies, private plans. Some call them Medicare Disadvantage plans. But those are through private insurance companies. Part D is through a private insurance company, and a Medicare supplement is through a private insurance company as well. So all of those you have to buy either directly from the insurance company or an agent or broker. And yes, I am, full disclosure, I am a broker, licensed in all 50 states plus the District of Columbia, and contracted with all the big players out there. So if you're looking for a Medicare supplement, which if you watched some of my videos, you know those are the ones I recommend if they're in your budget. I'm going to do a video on that. As I mentioned last week, a couple of versions. I'm going to do an angry video to get it off my chest, and then I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to do a nice calm version of all things Medicare. So anyway, I will have Carla says I will try care for life when I turn 65. Should I enroll in regular Medicare or enroll in Medicare Advantage plan? Those are not mutually exclusive. In order to get a Medicare Advantage plan, you have to get enrolled in Medicare Part A and Part B. So that's a given. You can't enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan or get a Medicare supplement plan, also called a Medigap plan, unless you have Medicare Part A and Part B. So Part A is free for most people. Again, you sign up with the Social Security Administration for that. And Part B is this year is $164.90. Next year is $174.70. So it went up about $10. TRICARE for Life and TRICARE for Life, pretty much you have to sign up for Medicare. It's the government and government bureaucracies and different parts of the government. So it's basically TRICARE for Life is not run there. It's run under the Department of Defense. And so they try to move prices over or costs over to Medicare. So that's why, why did they make you sign up for Medicare? It's already the government. Well, it's politics. Department of Defense, the VA, and all those. The Office of Personnel Management. They move costs from their particular agencies over to Medicare. So that's why they mandate, people to also get Medicare to move over there. If you have TRICARE for Life and you are completely happy with it and got everything and you don't need anything else, then a lot of people just go for it and just keep it. Well, don't add anything else on it. Obviously, they keep it if they get it, they earned it. But if you have TRICARE for Life and you're completely happy with it and it covers everything, then you're beautiful. If you're looking for a little bit extra, some people do sign up for also a Medicare Advantage plan. Again, after they do sign up for Medicare Part A and Part B, and they sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan so they can get maybe some closer doctors or get a little bit more dental, or what I see happening quite often, which I just did a couple hours ago. A gentleman in Alabama signed him up for a plan that pays part of his Part B premium. So there are plans out there that actually pay part of your Part B premium. I don't really recommend those unless you're healthy, because insurance companies are insurance companies. If they give you money for free every month just to just by enrolling, then they usually take it out of some other places. But if you're relatively young, 65, 60, 70, whatever, um, and you need a couple extra bucks, you don't go to the doctor very much, then yeah, those are awesome. When you start getting a little sicker and need more health care, then I recommend getting out of one of those and getting to one that covers more in terms of hospitals and all the rest of it. But if you don't go to the doctor very much and you're looking for a plane ticket to Hawaii, a vacation to Hawaii, and hey, 100, $150 a month, something, again, it depends on your area. All, they're all different throughout the country. So it really depends on your area. Some areas of the country have them, some areas of the country don't. So you always have to check. You can go to Medicare.gov and type in your zip code, and it'll tell you exactly what you got. Or you can click on the description below, the link in the description below, and we can check for you. Make sure you're getting everything you're entitled to. Dixon, hoorah, Sergeant, hoorah, hoorah, all Marine Corps. Do you have to take Medicare to keep TRICARE when under 65 and on TRICARE? Yeah, I'm not an expert in VA type everything. I didn't retire from the military. I just spent 8 years in the Marine Corps, which is like 30 in the Air Force, 20 in the Army. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, so I don't really use my VA benefit. I never really. I got the VA loan and the education, but all the other stuff I don't have personal experience. That's what I'm trying to next year. I'm going to try to find a VA expert to join my team. Hopefully, that's someone that works at the Veterans Administration to join my team to help our veterans out with all things disability and everything like that. So that's what kind of I'm looking for now. That's why I'm doing all this. Enrolling people in Medicare, get some income coming in, so we can hire some more people to help. Need some more Social Security experts and some more VA people and all the rest of it. So long-term project here. If prepositional phrase, I have to see the United Health Care Department. One of the new for the violation of HIPAA rights, violation of civil rights. Yeah, you have absolutely, when you sign up for any type of, almost any, Medicare related type plan, supplement, Medicare Advantage, Part D, or anything like that, you have appeal and grievance rights. So if there's someone that some decision they make that you disagree with, absolutely file a grievance, file an appeal of whatever decision they make. Um, if you don't want to do it directly with the company that you're dealing with, you can call Medicare, 1-800-Medicare, Medicare.gov, and file a grievance. And yeah, absolutely, you have rights. Absolutely. Can a person still get Plan F, or is that only offered in certain states? No, that's yeah, pretty much the F are for people that were entitled to Medicare before 2020. But even then, I and most people in the know don't recommend Plan F. So Medicare Supplement Plan F, because the supplements are all the same, essentially. There's a few states that do strange things, Minnesota and Maine, and some other states that kind of got their own little unique type of Medicare supplement plans. But for the most part, nowadays, people are enrolling in Plan G and Plan N, as in Nancy. And those are the G is the one most people are enrolling into because it's so simple. I recommend N because it's a bit cheaper and there's doesn't cover everything, but usually it's not an issue and you save money. And I'm cheap, so I like to spend money if I don't have to. But it really depends on your particular situation. If I had to go to the doctor a lot, then I would do a G. But anyway, but Plan F, people can't enroll for the most part. 90+% of people can't enroll in those anymore, and therefore, insurance is a risk pool. So the smaller the pool of people in there, and those people are getting older and sicker, it's going to go up considerably. So even if you could get an F, again, it depends on your state, a lot of variables. Particular states are different. But I will, for the most part, I wouldn't even recommend an F. I would, go to a G or an N. So, is the COLA lower for early retire or the same place? Yeah, the COLA is, the same for everybody across the board. Was it 3.2%? Last year was 8.7. I wish it was 10% last year. It should have been 10%, considering, it takes $50 to fill up a car nowadays. But that's not here nor there, I guess. Yeah, so this time it's 3.2, and it's across the board. COLA is, across the board. If you retire early, then, at 62, then, there's a reduction there. And I guess you're still get a COLA 3.2, but you're getting a COLA 3.2 multiplied lesser amounts because you're retiring early. So if you retire at 62 years old, then you're looking at about a 30% cut in your benefit amount. So it is 3.2%, but if you retire early, then I guess, yeah. Yes, please hit the like button, so more people will see this video, come ask questions. As I mentioned, because I'm in the middle of helping people out with Medicare, that will the annual enrollment period ends December 7th. And then after that, I'm going to get back to helping people with all things Social Security. So if you have a Social Security, a particular Social Security question that you need help with, please click the link below. I'll put it after the video is done here. Please click that link and it'll go to my calendar, and you just tell me what you're looking for, and a particular calendar will pop up and you can schedule. So if it's a Social Security question, then after the 15th. And I said, yes, annual enrollment period ends December 7th, but I'm not taking appointments till like the 15th because I'm going to sleep for about 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 days. So there's that. I'm going to hibernation after this good stuff is over. A lot of people don't also realize that there's also a special enrollment period from January to March 31st. So kind of an open enrollment period type situation where you can change your Medicare Advantage plan one time. So if for some reason you get into a Medicare Advantage plan, by December 7th, and a lot of people don't realize it's the last application counts. So if someone calls you up, and always avoid people cold calling. They're not allowed to cold call you. But if somebody does and they give you the high pressure sales and you just can't hang up, and you sign up for whatever Joe's Garage Medicare Advantage plan, and they get all your numbers and they sign you up, and like, oh gosh, I'm stuck with Joe's Garage Medicare Advantage plan for all of next year. No, you're not. All you have to do is enroll in another plan. So it's the last application. You could, I guess conceivably, you could enroll in like 50 different plans. Every day you could enroll in, please don't. But you could enroll in a different plan every single day. And whatever one you are enrolled in on December 7th, that's the one that takes for 2024. So don't give in to the hype. I've already had a few people call me up and said, yes, this person signed me up for this one and I didn't really want it. They gave me the high pressure sales. They called me out of the blue when I was vulnerable, and they did this, that, and the other. Please, say thanks, but no thanks. I've got people that pick up the phone and, they say, hola. And so the person on the other end, the salesperson, doesn't speak Spanish, so they just go on to the next one. So, hey, konnichiwa or something, speak some different language or something when you pick up the phone. Maybe they'll, move on to the next one. That's why we lock our doors. Not as though they can't get into our car, just please go to my neighbor's. His car might not be unlocked, right? Might not be locked. So anyway, I digress. I always digress. If you postpone Medicare Part B to insurance through a spouse's job and the spouse changes job, do you have to notify SSA about the job? insurance trades right away, or can you wait until? Yeah, no, no, no. You, yes, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes. Um, you don't need to notify Social Security. When I just did a video on this a few days ago, last week. Sorry, I'm not doing that many videos. I just did a video. I'm going to post probably tomorrow. Should be an interesting um, to all you YouTubers out there. I've got your number. Anyway, I'm getting cranky in my old age. Crankier. But yeah, if you've got two jobs, and so let's say you're 70 years old and you were supposed to sign up for Medicare at 65, right? And you're 70 years old, but halfway through, when you're 67 and a half, you switch jobs. No problem. When you're 70 years old and you stop working, all you have to do is get three forms: the 40B, which is to actually enroll in Medicare Part B, and it's called the L564. And you'll need two of those because you need to show that you had health insurance since you turned 65. So from your first employer, you get the HR to fill that out, and your first employer will say, yes, this person had health insurance from 65 to 67 and a half. And you get your other employer to confirm that, yes, this person had health insurance from 67 and a half until today. And then, so you submit those three forms to Social Security and you're golden. No penalty whatsoever. Good question. A lot of people miss that one. And Social Security employees, unfortunately, are busy, and they get the forms and they only get two forms, and the person is penalized for a couple of years because they didn't provide the proof of the a couple of years they were missing. And Social Security employees don't know that you actually had health insurance unless you prove it to them. So yeah, a lot of people, you can get that fixed. All you got to do is, oh yeah, hey, I got a penalty of 10% for every 12-month period, and you got a 20% penalty, and get your first check, and all of a sudden you're missing a whole bunch of money. All you have to do is go to your HR, the previous one, get the proof, take it to Social Security, and they'll reverse it. So no problem. But try to get it ahead of the game. When you choose original Medicare supplement plan, and can you switch to a G another year? Yes and no. It really depends. Again, each state is a little bit different. The laws in different states are different. They're just all kinds of. I was doing deep research into Wisconsin yesterday, and yeah, you need to be a lawyer to determine whether this person asks, okay, if I stop getting Medicaid, is that a special enrollment period for a Medicare supplement? And you call the companies and say, one person says yes and the other person says no, and yeah, you need a kind of a legal a judge to determine. I read the 200 or 300 page, went through the Wisconsin state law, and even then it wasn't clear. So anyway, there's a lot of variables. If you're healthy, absolutely. That's usually, kind of across the board. Insurance companies want healthy people. Again, it's a risk pool. Actually, one of the videos I'm going to do after this YouTube is it's my angry video. A less angry video is talk about Medicare, kind of a little bit of the history of Medicare, Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, and the Medicare sales industry. But yes, if you're healthy, the companies, want you. It's unfortunately the Medicare supplements are the only health insurance really in America that discriminates against pre-existing conditions. The marketplace, aka Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, whatever you want to call it, they can't ask you health questions. They have to give you health insurance. Medicare Advantage plans have to give you. They can't discriminate against you because you have pre-existing conditions. Medicare obviously can't discriminate against you if you have pre-existing conditions. Medicare supplements can. Idea why. So there's that. So yes, if you're healthy, and yes, you can, and depends on your particular state. Thank you. They're not allowed to cold call. Wow. Yes, yes. But the problem is if you call, let's say, some celebrity on TV, for instance, I'm not going to mention any names, um, who most of them don't really sell Medicare. They just kind of like a front for giant private equity firms and that have giant call centers. And if they don't sell you, they sell your name because when you call up, you give them authorization to bug you for the rest of your life. And so they sell your name to someone else who sells your name to someone else and someone else. That's why people are getting, dozens and dozens of calls. Yeah. So we never call you unless you call us. You call us first, and then we'll call you back. But we, yeah, never call anybody. Yeah, no, we've got enough incoming calls. We can barely keep up now. So we're doing our best. So if you've called us, you've reached out to us, please give us a little time. We've got till December 7th, so we'll definitely get a hold of you. So I appreciate everybody's patience out there. But yeah, if somebody cold calls you, then you can report them. Medicare.gov or the insurance companies. Yeah. So where'd you get my information? What's your name again? Where are you calling from? Yeah. So get all that. When your spouse files at 62 and is married and his wife is caring for a special needs child, will the spouse be entitled to a check at the same time? Okay. When your spouse files, okay, so you've got someone that's receiving benefits at 62. Okay. And the wife is caring for a special. Yes. If the child, just to help someone with that a little while ago, a disabled adult child, called a DAC, disabled adult child. If those are called auxiliary child in care benefits. I did a video on that too. I'm going to do a lot more videos next year. A few hundred. I've got a few hundred planned. So I'm going to, yeah, do a bunch. But these are called auxiliary child in care benefits. And if your spouse files for benefits or disability benefits for that matter, survivor retirement benefits, survivor benefits, pretty much all of it. And the child is receiving benefits because if the child is 16 and under, the parent can file for auxiliary child and care benefits. Basically, that the Social Security says, okay, you have a child under 16, so you would probably want to stay home and not work because your spouse is retired or disabled or deceased or whatever the case may be. So Social Security says, we'll pay you some money to stay home and take care of your child under the age of 16. I think that's pretty awesome policy. And also, if that is a disabled adult child, and Social Security asks you a bunch of questions, do you really need to be there? Do you really need, they ask a few questions. I've done quite a few of those, and they ask you some questions. Okay, why do you need to be home and stuff like that? Because sometimes, people just, disabled adult child, and they really don't need help. But if they do, then yes, absolutely. Child doesn't have to be 16. Child could be 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. Doesn't matter. And the parent can receive auxiliary child and care benefits, but they also have to limit their income, just like the annual earnings limit when you receive early retirement. So if the spouse is working and making $80,000, then no, you have to limit your income. So there's that. If you have applied for retirement Social Security but haven't been approved but realize you're missing income, can you submit for correction? You should wait for your application. No. So yeah, if you applied for retirement benefits and they're still adjudicating your claim, as we call it, and you looked at your earnings record, which you can get on ssa.gov, and I highly recommend everybody set up an ssa.gov account, even if you don't use it, and that way someone else can't go in there and pretend to be you, your alter ego in Russia or wherever, can't pretend to be you and go in there and set one up and cause trouble for you. If you go in there and set one up, then if someone goes in there and starts messing around, you will get an email or a text or whatever you told ssa.gov is your contact information, so you can go in there and stop it. So ssa.gov. Everybody, please go get everybody around you and your family to set up ssa.gov my account. Okay. All right. So if you go in there and you notice that something is wrong, no problem. You can change it anytime. So I would probably not mess around with it until you were approved, because that'll stop the whole process. And I mean, you could if you wanted to. Yeah, go ahead and contact if you know the name of the claim specialist. But if you did it online, I would just probably just there's no telling where it went. It might have gone to your local office or the regional office, or they have cadres throughout the country that help with internet claims. But yes, you can wait. So after you get your first check and a couple of months, whatever, and then call up Social Security. Hey, I just noticed that 1982 I worked, but there's zero earnings. But here's proof, or whatever the case may be. Then yeah, they can correct it, and they'll go back. So you won't lose any money. Um, they will go back and correct it from day one. So retroactively give you back your money. Is catastrophic coverage rules for Medicare Part D changed? Yes. Yes. Catastrophic coverage used to be 5%. Now it's 0%. Yes. That's awesome. So that's good. Um, that's one of the videos I'm going to do here in a little bit, is kind of talk about that, kind of the shortcomings of original Medicare, Part A and Part B. For Medicare was started again, Lyndon Baines Johnson, part of his Great Society. And so Medicare was started in 1965, and didn't include prescription drug coverage, not until under George Bush, the son, not the father. Yeah, so prescription, and it's like, okay, how 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 healthy are you going to be? And sure, you can go to the doctor, and our doctor says yes, okay, we need to do this for you. Okay, here's yeah, prescriptions aren't covered. So luckily Part D was added relatively recently, which is a beautiful thing. And every year it gets a little bit better. So how does it get a little bit better? You poke your politicians with a sharp stick and say, make it better. So we got Part D finally, and now it's gotten a little bit better in terms of catastrophic's gone away. It's got a little bit better now that, unbelievably, that Medicare can finally negotiate with pharmaceutical companies, because we all know pharmaceutical companies rule the world. And after saying that, my YouTube channel is probably going to be deleted and canceled and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, um, the amount of money they make, and they pay lobbyists and politicians and all the rest of it, yeah, it's terrible. But yeah, pharmaceutical companies finally kind of lost that fight. Well, they haven't, I guess, yet, and something might happen. But yeah, they're the 10 um, most used, most expensive in terms of Medicare Part D costs drugs. The first 10 drugs have been chosen, and I've got a lot of people taking those particular drugs, and they're going to start negotiating like they do with the Veterans Administration and all the other agencies. But Medicare was never able to negotiate, which was crazy. But now they can't. So they picked the first 10 drugs. So if you're taking one of those drugs, it's a beautiful thing, as William Wallace would say, but not the now, because it won't take effect until 2026. So there's that. Yeah. So, but it's all these these politicians can't seem to chew gum and walk at the same time. So I'm gonna get my YouTube channel canceled on me. But anyway, but yeah, a little bit of time, I guess, baby steps. The next thing we need to do out there, all you, is dental. I mean, like dental, vision, and hearing to be included in Part D, or do a Part E or F, or whatever. Dental, vision. I mean, how healthy can you be in your 60s and 70s, 80s if you can't, eat, hear, or see? That doesn't seem to be very good standard of living if you can't do those three things, if you don't have that coverage. So I think dental is probably the biggest thing right now. So all you out there in YouTube land, I'll tell you what, I'll put a link in the description below, and you just click on that link and you type in your zip code, and it will tell you who your federal representatives are. And you call them up and say, hey, dental, get with the program. We need dental. It'd be nice if they had all three of them at the same again, but yeah, hey, what are you going to do? So let's start with dental. Okay. All right. The wife filed early 2 years after her husband got Social Security with the child disabled. The child got a check, but they did not pay the wife for being home with the child. Yeah, so that is the most boring video I've put up that pretty much nobody watches because it is too boring. But it is gets people thousands of dollars. This is called protective filing. So if Social Security made a mistake like that, and you can go back and say, hey, I talked to Social Security Administration about this, and for whatever reason, they messed up. They didn't follow up on it. They didn't do the right thing. The Social Security Administration can treat that as a protective filing and say, okay, oops, yeah, we should have really addressed that 2 years ago when you came in. I had a gentleman that walked into a Social Security office one time, and yeah, he was homeless, and we found benefits for him, and found out he had walked into another Social Security office 3 years earlier, and they didn't do the right thing, and we got him back 3 years of benefits. So he lived the rest of his 4 or 5 years, actually, in a nice little apartment. Actually, a very famous person. So yeah, it's amazing what happens to people. All right. What else? That I should have been receiving auxiliary income with my children as well at the time. How can I retrieve? Yeah. So call up yeah. If anything happens like that, you get a protective filing. Call the Social Security Administration, and you can't really set up an appointment necessarily for that. Appointments, for the most part, are you can only set up. Oh, please like everybody, like. Please. Call up Social Security Administration, and in terms of appointments, they usually only take appointments for initial claims, or so any type of post entitlement type of things. You can't really set up an appointment. So you call and walk in, or whatever the case may be, and say, "Hey, remember when I walked in a year or 2 years ago, and we filed for this, that, and the other, and well, how come you didn't address this?" And they will give you a decision. They will look at it and give you a decision. And if they say, too bad, so sad, then you say, well, too bad, so sad. Here's a reconsideration. I want someone else to tell me to look at it. So you file a SSA 561, quick little form. I'm going to do a video on that, how to fill it out, which will be about a 30-second video because it's so easy. And someone else in that particular office will take a look at it again and see whether the first person made a correct decision. And if they make a decision that you don't like, then again, you have appeal rights. It's a beautiful thing. So you appeal it and go see a judge. So yes, yes, yes to dental and vision, and good dental, not just cleaning's the real stuff. Yes. I'm getting calls on implants. Everybody wants implants, but implants are crazy expensive now. I mean, tens, 20, 30, $40,000 for full implants. So yeah, I don't know any insurance company that, covers any of that. I have an insurance, a dental vision insurance company that I recommend, and I deal with. But it really depends. Don't think they cover really implants, because again, that's crazy, crazy expensive. So, but I guess dentures were super expensive at one time, and then it started coming down. So hopefully implants will eventually, they'll come up with some new technology or something. So But yeah, there's some insurance companies that cover implants, but not a full set. Maybe one or two or something like that. But yeah, they're slowly starting to add implants. But yeah, not the now. I know I'm going to set up an appointment to speak with you. I have several things going on as a domestic violence victim. Okay. Yep, absolutely. Go into the link below, schedule an appointment, and again, I'll call you. Again, I'm sorry that it takes that long. Again, that's one of the reasons starting to do, help people with Medicare supplements and Advantage and all that kind of stuff, so we can build up our team and bring in one or two more Social Security experts, a VA expert. I really like someone that's an expert in Section 8. A lot of people have problems with housing. So I like to bring in a Section 8 housing expert to see what we can do to expedite, the 1 or 2 or 3 year wait list for a lot of that. So yeah, I'm bringing to my rep as the link is there. I agree. Dental needs to be added. Yes. Donut hole change. The numbers of the donut hole change every year, but the infamous donut hole in Part D, not a whole heck of a lot of changes. It's adjusted every year. So the key is to check if you have a Medicare supplement plan. So that means you have a standalone prescription drug plan. So the key is every year to check, because your premium might be a dollar or $10 or whatever the case may be, but the drugs might be expensive. You're like, hey, I only pay a dollar for my premium, but you pay 20 to 30% more for your drugs. So sometimes it might be better to pay more premium and or cheaper drugs. So check those every year, and it's easy to check. You go to Medicare.gov and type in your zip code, put in all your prescriptions, and there's also you can interface with, if you've got it through Medicare.gov. If you got your prescriptions through there, there's an interface where you can actually kind of download your prescriptions and use that. So it's kind of a cool little thing. Yeah, and check every year. You can't change your prescription drug coverage until October for the most part. For the most part, October, November, December 7th, you can change your prescription drug plan, and then again, it'll take effect January 1st. Again, that's if you have a standalone. Medicare Advantage, again, same kind of a time frame, but it's included in there as kind of a bundled benefit. Any news that I had to receive Social Security public service assistance at the time? Did I qualify? What do a person do if they ever get one-time payment after spouse dies? It's been 10 years. Can they still get it? Oh, the infamous $255 lump sum death payment. After 10 years, it's still $255. Yeah. So, but yeah. I looked at the Palms policy on that again to see if it changed recently, and yeah, there is. I mean, you can try. As I say, with all of these benefits, all federal government benefits, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, everything. All they can do is say no, right? You apply, and they say no, get out of my office. Stop bothering us. You know, it's tough if that's what they think. They're, they're public civil servants. They're you know, bureaucrats, and that's their job to take claims to see if you're entitled for X, Y, and Z. So if they do it, and they say no, then oh well, all right, see you next year. Because remember, a lot of the eligibility changes every year. So as I always tell people, if they say, oh yeah, you would have got it, but your income is $10 over. And then I hear people all the time, yeah, they told me I was $10 over 3 years ago, so I, forgot about it. No, 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 no. Now it's 2 years. You did it 3 years ago. Now 2 years ago, you would have been entitled. You would have saved tons of money if you, applied again. So please, please, please apply again every year. Particularly with the one thing that's definitely changing is the LIS, low income subsidy, also called the extra help with your Medicare prescription drugs. That one is changing starting January. So the eligibility is getting better, easier. So there's going to be millions of people. I did a video on this. There's going to be millions of people, extra people that are going to be entitled to this extra help. So yeah, and Medicare has determined, has calculated that people can save up to $5,300 on prescription drugs if they have that. And you're like, well, I don't take prescription drugs. I don't need it. Well, you say that today, but what about next month, next March, next July? So apply for it, get it. It's sitting there waiting for you. So if you happen to need a drug, it'll save you tons of money. So get it, even if you don't need it right now. Have it sitting on your record, and that way, if you need it in the future, it's there. So that's kind of what insurance and all this stuff, insurance. Anyway. All right, just my ALJ hearing for SSDI, and I was wondering your thoughts on this when the judge asked the vocational experts say no to any jobs and he moved onset date forward. Your thoughts? So the ALJ, the administrative law judge, so SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSI is Supplemental Security Income. So that's the kind of the welfare needs-based program that Social Security also administers. So SSDI is insurance, what you actually paid into. So this gentleman or lady, yes, sorry, had filed a disability, was denied, filed reconsideration, was denied, finally had her date with the judge. If you were in Savannah, Georgia, the Office of Hearings, I just did a video on this a few weeks ago. The worst cities in the country to be on disability. Savannah was the worst. 33 months to get a date with the administrative law judge to get a decision. So that's crazy. Yeah, and usually what they do is they have a vocational rehab person, a vocational expert, and the judge says, okay, this person is disabled, but they kind of can work, but given their education and their prior work experience and their age and the local market, yada yada yada, and it's just a giant gray area of whether you're going to be approved or not. And I guess the judge, based on what the vocational expert told them, moved the onset date for this particular person. So my thoughts are, yeah, I'm asked this question quite often. And before I became a district manager, the Social Security, before that I was assistant district manager, before that I was operations supervisor, and before that I worked in the appeals section. And yeah, this came up quite a bit. If you are denied, or no, excuse me, if you are approved, but you disagree with the onset date. So if you say, hey, I became disabled, that is, I became unable to work January 2022, and the judge and the vocation expert looks at it and says, no, 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 no. We think you became unable to work January 2023. So we're going to move your onset date from January 2022 to January 2023. And, at first blush, you're happy that, yes, after this long, grueling procedure of 2 years, 3 years, whatever, it's finally over. They finally approved me. And then, 4.5 seconds later, you're like, but I'm losing an entire year of benefits. And, that hurts. So what you can do is you can appeal. You can say, no, I disagree with the onset date. And you can have the judge look at it again. But that reopens the case. And the judge just might, if it's a different judge or the same judge that reconsiders or a different vocational expert, they could look at the case and say, I wonder why this one was approved. This one's never been approved. And so yeah, that's an unfortunate part of it. So just kind of buyer beware, I guess, cautionary tale. You can, you know, ask for, you can appeal it, but be aware that they might say no across the board and say, well, yeah, no, we made a wrong decision and we're just going to deny you from, so that's a tough decision. Yeah. So currently living in Europe, can you explain the 45-day rule for Social Security benefits? Yeah, there's a, yeah, 45, 60-day rule. So you can go on to Social Security website, and they have a great decision tree there on benefits for people overseas, and it's awesome. So it's basically, yeah, if you're a U.S. citizen, you can live anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, except for North Korea or Cuba, um, and essentially get your Social Security benefits. If you are not a U.S. citizen, if you're a green card holder, yes, you can live overseas, but you have to come back to the United States on a regular-ish basis, and if that's what you're talking about. But yeah, and there's totalization agreements. Countries have totalization agreements, basically that our Social Security Administration system and credits and everything will be treated like this X, Y, or Z with the Italian Social Security Administration system or the Japanese system. So yeah, and these agreements are decided and negotiated by the Office of the International Operations in Baltimore. And yeah, so they're all different. They're all strange and different. So they're all treated differently. So go onto that little tool there and you just click, are you a citizen? And then what country do you live in? And it'll tell you all the little interesting little details. Just a comment as a baby boomer with many friends, relatives, coworkers applying for Social Security. We've been impressed with customer service at various levels. Yes, yes, I love it. Baby boomers impressed with customer service at very local Social Security field office referencing their applications. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Yes. As I've mentioned many times, I worked for Social Security Administration for a few decades, and 99, 98% of Social Security employees are doing a phenomenal job, and they try to do a phenomenal job, but there's so much working against them. Budget cuts and baby boomers, in terms of the population, computer systems, ever changing laws and priorities, and it's a whack a mole. As a district manager of close to 100 employees, the third largest in the country, it was a daily whack a mole. Um, my job that day was to get down wait time of customers, how long they would have to wait coming into the office. Okay, all right, let's work on that today. And then the next day, we get something from the regional or area office and says, you really need to focus on answering your phones quicker. Okay, all right. So we'll put more resources into phones. Okay, and then the next day it's you need your adjudication time to be reduced. You need to adjudicate retirement, survivor claims quicker. Okay, I'll put more resources in there. And then guess what? Then the people walking in have to wait longer, people on phones. So those three things were a whack-a-mole on a daily basis. So you address one and you lose resources for the other one. And then, so yeah, so I used to have I looked like Brad Pitt. No, I never looked like Brad Pitt. I used to have full head of hair before I worked for Social Security Administration. That's a complete lie. So I never, anyway. When a person files for their Social Security at a full retirement age, can they get the whole amount instead of taking monthly checks? No, yeah, no, no, no. One of the ideas that I floated that went as far as that didn't go at all is yeah. I know in some countries, I know in Japan, they pay Social Security checks every 2 months. And I thought that was a good idea because that would help Social Security. So people wouldn't come on a monthly basis. You could stagger it a little bit, and people could have a little bit more money to, kind of pay for things and all the rest of it. So it would save the agency unbelievable amount of money, only having to do it, once every 2 months, checks and direct deposits and all that kind of stuff, 6 times a year instead of 12 times a year. But yeah, that didn't go. Peak birth years of baby boomer now hitting fraud. Yes. Yeah. So, the peak is, I forget, I was looking at the chart a while ago. Yeah. The baby boomers, 72, 76 million people from 1946 to 1964. Yeah. Quite a few people. So, yeah, the baby boomers are definitely hitting the Social Security Administration. And because of the whole pandemic and everything, there was a lot of Social Security employees that retired early, like myself, and so Social Security is hurting. So this is one of the other reasons I'm doing all these videos to kind of perhaps help out Social Security a bit. Hopefully, I'm helping, and I've got another project that hopefully will help more. But yeah, so. I have a number of years on my Social Security record that I have earned zero, at least 10 years. They are wrong. An attorney told me harm is ongoing to my monthly. What can I do? Age 68. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. If you have a bunch of zeros, if you looked at your earnings record, your work history, and it has a bunch of zeros that are incorrect, so you have to figure out what's going on. What happened? Um, you know, did you work at a 1099, or you earned but you didn't pay into FICA taxes? Um, did your accountant, take off with the money and didn't pay like they should, and they're living on the beach in Cuba now? What the case may be. Again, as I mentioned, several videos, um, one of the um, mistakes is, people type the social security number wrong. And there's billions of dollars out there that are in a suspense file. That is, they're out there floating around waiting for someone to raise their hand and say, hey, those are my earnings. And then the Social Security employee checks and says, oh, okay, it looks like they just transposed the last two numbers of your social. Here they are. Okay, you work for this place, yada, yada. So they put it back in your record. So yeah, you from 55 to 57. So yeah, if you see that, and obviously if it's way far ago, it's be tough to prove. That's why during tax season, I always like to notify people before you finish your taxes and put that away for another year. Um, Go into your SSA.gov account and make sure whatever you paid into taxes, FICA taxes, accurately reflects what Social Security has. Okay, so that's important to do. That's the last thing you do after you file taxes. File taxes, you're done. You get your refund. Then go into SSI.gov and make sure it's reflected correctly every year. Oh, okay, 55 to 57. You're a peak baby boom. Yes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Right now, 65. Right, we're getting people that are turning 65 and they were born in 1958. So that definitely sounds about right. Yep. Thanks for your expertise. Yeah, you're welcome. I just applied for retirement benefits starting at FRA. So FRA is full retirement age. After the wage index and COLA, is a PI normally higher than that the estimate given the SSI website? Yeah, the website is a estimate. So you won't get the final number until the claim specialist pushes the button. So that's when you get the final numbers. And even in December, you won't get the final numbers until COLA is calculated in there. But yeah, those are estimates. So those estimates you see on SSA.gov on your account, those are estimates going forward. So if you look at 60, if you're 62 years old and you say, hey, when I retire at full retirement age, I'm going to get X amount of money, but then you stop working, then yeah, those numbers are going to be wrong, because what happens is they forecast forward. They say, okay, last year or 2 years ago you made this much money, and so we anticipate you're going to continue to make the same amount of money until you retire. But then if you stop, then it kind of messes up the estimates. So those are all estimates. Particularly if you are part of the windfall elimination provision. I get calls all the time, and I think I'm going to stop doing calls on windfall elimination provision because people always say, "Well, how come they took money away from that? They never." Anyway, so it says right on there, all the statements, everything you see at Social Security, it says this is your amount, unless you have a non-covered pension. And people don't read that part. They just read, "Oh, we're supposed to get $3,000," and they just read that and stop reading. They don't read that unless you get a non-covered pension. If you get a non-covered pension from city, state, then this is not accurate. So ignore this. But anyway, can you work if you're receiving Social Security disability? If you're blind, and how much can you make? Yeah, it changes every year. Oh gosh, what was the SGA? But I did a video on this disability and working. It changes every year. But yes, the important thing is to make sure you notify Social Security. There's also called the ticket to work. And working while disabled is a nightmare. A lot of Social Security employees don't understand it. You've got a kind of a trial work period that's 9 months and some gray area. You've got the extended period of eligibility, which is 36 months and goes by a monthly basis. And the whole thing is difficult, and you have to have a PhD in disability and working to understand some of it. It's just crazy. So the key is to always notify Social Security. There's a program called Ticket to Work. Each area, I don't want to say each office throughout the country. There's over 1,500 Social Security offices throughout the country, but each area has an AWIC, an Area Work Incentive Coordinator. So many acronyms. AWIC. So that's probably even they, sometimes give out incorrect information. Ticket to Work. So I would probably, reach out to Ticket to Work. That is a contracted organization that works with Social Security to help people get back to work on disability. But also the AWIC. You can call your local office and say, "Hey, who's the local AWIC?" And I guess ask them. Say, "I'm thinking about going to work. How much can I make, and how long can I make it, and what are my limitations?" And there's IRWI's income. So there's all kinds of different variables there. If you make $2,000 a month, but 1,000 of that goes into some type of apparatus you need in order to facilitate your working, then you're actually only making $1,000 a month. So there's all kinds of strange variables there. So the AWIC can hopefully help you through that. And I would, always make a note. Anytime you do that, get yourself a little notebook and write it down. I talked to, this particular person on this particular day who is an AWIC, who is supposedly an expert in all of this, and that person told me X, Y, and Z, right? And that way, if it ever comes back that, "Oh yeah, you work too much, we're going to do this, that, and the other," you've got, plausible deniability. You've got a case you can make. Military pensions, do they affect PIA, primary insurance amount? Nope. Military pensions do not. So military pensions do not. That doesn't affect if you're on disability. Military pensions like that don't affect Social Security at all. If you're on retirement, that is unearned income. It's unearned income. It is, you earned it, but it's unearned income in sense of you're not currently working for that. So any type of 401k or anything like that doesn't affect, it's not considered work that will, reduce your Social Security benefits in terms of annual earnings limit or anything like that. So, no. All right. So it is 3:59. I appreciate everybody joining in. I'll put those links in the description. But if you have any friends, family, coworkers, next door neighbors that need help with all things Social Security, Medicare, particularly Medicare right now, make sure You send them our YouTube channel, send them a link, have them schedule an appointment. We'll help them out, see if we get you everything you're entitled to from Medicare and your Medicare plan and all the rest of it. And again, in December, I'm going to go back to helping people with all things Social Security. So stay tuned. Thank you all. And I'm going to go make a couple of videos now and hopefully post them tomorrow or so. All righty. Y'all have an awesome day. Thank you for joining. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.